welcome, welcome. Before we begin, we have a very special film brought to you all the way from the Capitol.
I pledge to give America the most spectacular birthday party the world has ever seen.
But freedom has a cost.
We will host the first ever Patriot Games.
Happy Hunger Games.
Featuring the greatest high school athletes.
The various districts of Pan Am would offer up in tribute
From each state and territory.
one young man
and
woman
one young woman.
to fight to the death
An unprecedented 4-day athletic event.
in a pageant of honor, courage, and sacrifice.
Frankly, you'll never see anything like it, and you'll never see anything like it again.
I just love that.
Thank you. I love you all.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Mayday Morning Show. I'm Michelle Kinney. I'm here with my good friend, Julie Roginski, and you are here on the Mayday Network. If you are joining us from Substack, welcome. We do this every morning, weekday morning at 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern, but we wanted to share this with our Substack friends and fam, just so you would know that we're doing this. So we hope in the future that you will click on over to the Mayday Network YouTube and join us and join the chat. It's a lot of fun.
And you,
Oh,
sorry, that was me trying to connect to Substack, and it worked.
that's okay. Oh, it did work. Great news.
Friends,
So
can I just interrupt for a second to say Michelle Kinney is fantastic. What you just saw in that cold open was Michelle Kinney in her beady mind putting all this together yesterday and sending this to me. And when Trump announced that he was doing this Patriot Games thing, Michelle immediately goes, "Oh my God, it's the Hunger Games." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right," and kind of went on with my day. Michelle did not go on with her day. Michelle decided to put that together. And I got to tell you, I mean, I saw that. First I started laughing. Then I started getting creeped out because the similarities are insane.
it's like
It's crazy.
almost verbatim. I mean, and again, like, this is not the first time that they've plagiarized things. I'm thinking, well, of course, of Melania Trump's convention speech that they stole from Michelle Obama. But then there was also a speech that he did that was almost exactly like Legally Blonde. So they love, and then, there's Space Force. They stole the logo from Star Trek. I mean, these people are so terribly unoriginal and boring and not creative at all. But they are creative about doing terrible things. And this is all part of the 250th anniversary of the founding of this country. And Donald Trump did a video about it yesterday. I think it was about 3 minutes long, and he talked about this. And then, of course, after that, he's like, "There's not going to be any transgender people in it." And he talked
I'm sorry,
about
did you really say that? I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, after he's like, one young man and one young woman, well, something athletic competition. He's like, but no transgender.
You know what? Congratulations to my transgender friends. To anybody who's transgender, you don't get to
Yeah,
participate.
you don't have to do this. You
don't have
won't
to do
be,
this.
yeah, you won't have to go to the reaping. Good for you. for
Michelle,
you.
I don't think this played on Substack. So can you just play it one more time? Because it was so good. I think people need to see it again here on YouTube, and then anybody on Substack who missed it. I don't know if it's possible.
Sure,
Just
sure.
time.
Why not?
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Before we begin, we have a very special film brought to you all the way from the Capitol.
I pledge to give America the most spectacular birthday party the world has ever seen.
But freedom has a cost.
We will host the first ever Patriot Games.
Happy Hunger Games.
Featuring the greatest high school athletes.
The various districts of Pan Am would offer up in tribute
From each state and territory.
one young man
and
woman
one young woman.
to fight to the death
An unprecedented 4-day athletic event.
in a pageant of honor, courage, and sacrifice.
Frankly, you'll never see anything like it, and you'll never see anything like it again.
I just love that.
Thank you. I love you all.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
So notice, by the way, how he constantly covers up his hand.
Oh
and that
yeah,
When he goes
constantly.
when he goes like this, very
Yeah.
strategically not showing the back of his hand, immediately goes like this again.
Yep. He's like, can't Nothing going on in
Can't-
my hand.
can't
Don't
show
look
it.
there.
Let's show
Don't look
it.
at my hand.
Yeah.
And
You
just for
guys.
anybody who's watching who doesn't know the Hunger Games, because not everybody does.
Right.
It's a series of books that were turned into films, very good films, with Jennifer Lawrence, who's I think kind of put her on the map, or at least in like a franchisey way. And it's about a post-apocalyptic America. I assume was like a nuclear war, like there was something like that, and then the fascist people took over, and America has been turned into districts, and there's 13 districts. And the one that they're at for this is the 12th district, and of course, the poorest. And what they do in this post apocalyptic fascist country they live in, they send the children every year to be chosen, like picked literally out of a bowl. One boy and one girl from every district to go fight to the death in like a gladiator style thing for the entertainment of rich people. And if that doesn't sound just on the nose still to this day, and it's funny, like I remember when Hunger Games first came out, it seemed kind of like, oh, like this is so fun, this is great. But it seems a little close now. It feels like if there's any sci-fi element to it, it doesn't feel very sci-fi anymore. It feels very on the nose kind of to what we're dealing with. And clearly Stephen Miller and that bunch saw themselves in the film with the bad guys and decided to like, oh, you know what? Instead of the Hunger Games, we're going to call it the Patriot Games, but we can't have them kill each other. So we'll do something else, but we're going to use the same speech. We're just going to move. This is how these people think.
This is nuts, but I mostly want to salute you, Michelle Kinney, because that was so well done, and I'm sure we'll be running that again when these Hunger Games kick off. And to all of the MAGA boys and girls who are trying out for this, may the odds be ever in your favor. I am the mother of a very good little athlete, and I promise you, he would not be trying out for this even if they begged him, because I'm not having my kid participate in any of this nonsense.
But I'm sure there's going to be controversy. There's going to be controversy about this with people's parents and stuff. Like, again, this is going to be a very divisive thing. It's like what families will participate in this, which ones won't. You got to leave it to these people. Really, it's truly. And will it be all white athletes? Like, who's choosing the athletes? What are the metrics? And is it every sport? Is it like the Olympics? Do you know what I'm saying? It was very non-specific. And
I don't think we know. I just think they want. Listen, it's bread and circus, you guys. Nothing's new under the sun. Let's just put that out there. In times of economic hardship, the Roman emperors said that they had to give their people, to get them distracted, they had to give them bread and circus, which is why the Colosseum was built, which is why they had lions fighting tigers. This is why they had, Spartacus, all of that stuff.
Right.
That was bread and circus. But the bread part is the part that Donald Trump is missing. He's not giving the people bread that they can afford. In other words, he's not feeding the people in ways that they can afford. He's going today to North Carolina on this tour, this affordability tour. Apparently, this is part 2 of the affordability tour. Part 1 was that word vomit that we saw from the Oval Office, or wherever he was in the Oval Office, from the White House a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Today he's going to North Carolina to basically tell them again that, by the way,
everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Yeah. Like, shut up. You
can't just give the circus, my friend. You gotta give the bread too.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
It's which is like, it's kind of funny. It's like to their own detriment. Again, these people are not good at this. If they were really good at this, like, they'd be doing what you're saying. And Donald Trump is like, these people are so corrupt and they're so greedy and they're so like just dumb that they're not thinking about that. Instead, they're just going to have people suffer and then tell them that everything is fine. And I remember Elon Musk saying early on, it didn't say something like they were going to crash the economy and it was going to be really painful at first, but then everything was going to like level out and everyone was going to be fine. So like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, that, like, this richest man in the world is going to tell the rest of us. It's really something. It's really something else. But, you know,
I just typed, so for people who don't understand, we're doing this on Substack today also. I don't know why I just typed this in the Substack chat. I could just say it. We're doing this on Substack today, just so people know. We're not going to do this on Substack every day. We do this. This is a
no.
huge show. So please go to the Mayday Network on YouTube. I just typed that in the chat, Substack, and follow us here and join us every morning at 8 a.m. And if you can't join us every morning at 8 a.m., just
you can join us after.
Join us anytime. You can watch in reruns. So come on.
It might be 5 a.m. in LA where you are or something.
Yeah.
Which people maybe not getting up that early. I know 6:45 is early for me. Especially today. The weather is so bad.
You misspelled network there, Michelle. That's okay.
I did. Oh God. See, this is what I do when I put things up at. I typed that last night at 1:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah, Michelle and I were up, just so you guys know, texting each other till like 1:30 or 2 o'clock this morning, as we do every morning. So
I'm just glad you caught that. I'm glad you caught that. I'm actually an above average speller, so like those things actually really bother me. It really bothers me. But no, anyway, youtube.com/@the Mayday Network. That's us. Yep.
Yeah. It's Epstein release day. Happy Epstein file release day. I do not believe they're going to release the Epstein files today. I believe they're going to release some little sliver of the Epstein files and then say the rest of it is either classified or pursuant to a investigation, which the law allows them to withhold. And of course, the investigation is the one that Donald Trump ordered into Bill Clinton and other Democrats. And of course, Pam Bondi hopped to it and said, of course, Mr. President. And that's why we are not going to get most of the Epstein files. People disagree with me. People think that he's going to release all of them. And the part that pisses me off is that their Politico did something this morning where they called people who don't believe that he will release everything the Epstein truthers.
Oh my God.
Implying that we're somehow these paranoid conspiracy theorists. And that's why Politico sucks. That's why Politico sucks, because there is no such thing as Mayday truthers. Sorry, Epstein file truthers. There's also no such thing as Mayday truthers.
I was like, Mayday truthers. I was like, are people
Epstein
saying
file
that?
truthers.
I was like, we've made it.
Michelle and I are super tired today as Epstein file truthers, because he's not going to release anything that embarrasses him. He's not.
Yeah.
Guys, listen, if there was nothing in there that was embarrassing to him or to Melania or to his, he has no friends, so I guess to him or to Melania, he would have released this years ago. From the very moment that his base started going crazy, he would have released them. There's a reason why Bing Bong announced yesterday that he was leaving. Dan Bongino wants to get ahead of the shit. He did the press conference yesterday so he wouldn't ever have to meet the press again. And he did not say that he was immediately going back to his radio show. He said he was going to figure out what he was going to do. He was leaving in early January, which is in 2 weeks. Less. But the reason that he did this yesterday is to get ahead of whatever shit show he knows is coming down the pike. And even if that shit show is not revealed today, and I do not believe it is, he knows what's in there. He knows what's in there.
Well, and the photos, I mean, they keep drip with these photos. Who was it? David Brooks was in the photos.
Woody Allen, David Brooks, all of them. Noam Chomsky.
Yeah, and it was just rooms full of dirty men. And there were like a couple photos that had girls in them, but they were like very, very young. And like this, it is so obvious. It is so obvious what was going on. Like the only women that were in that circle were girls. That's it. And they weren't women, they were girls. And all of these, I mean, and David Brooks, by the way, wrote in an op-ed about the Epstein files like a month ago. And he said, enough with this. We need to like let this go. And we need to.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, really? That's why when I saw his face in these photographs, I was like, oh.
So I don't know who he wrote that for. I don't know if he wrote that for the Times or the Atlantic, because he writes for both.
Yeah.
They should both fire him. And by the way, let me just say this. I've met David Brooks. David Brooks from my perspective, has always been a nice guy. David Brooks has been at the New York Times probably longer now than, except Nick Kristof, any other columnist there. Bye-bye. because you did not disclose your personal interest in this. You did not disclose the fact that you were in the Epstein files.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you want people to move on. Of course you do. You don't want to be tainted with it. Now, at the New York Times, the only person who can hire and fire is the publisher. For columnists is the publisher. So A.G. Sulzberger, if you have any self-respect, and if you understand how little trust there is in corporate media today, and if you want the New York Times to be the last remaining vestige of untainted journalism, you will tell David Brooks bye-bye today if you wrote that column and said that we need to move on from the Epstein files without disclosing that he knew Jeffrey Epstein, he hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know if there were women or girls involved when he hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. It seems to me like there were girls all over that house, 24/7.
Yep. I'm trying to find this here. I've got it. Let me just take a quick screenshot here just so y'all can see this. Because it's really, once you see his face in this thing, it's like, what? It's just, it's wild, these guys just spending their lives being dirtbags, just complete scumbags. Here it is. This is from November 21st of last month. The Epstein story, count me out. Opinion by David Brooks for the New York Times. And while I have that up there, I'll just read the first couple lines here. Never before have I been so uncertain about the future. Think of all the giant issues that confront us. Artificial intelligence, potential financial bubbles, the decline of democracy, the rise of global authoritarianism, the collapse of reading scores and general literacy, China's sudden scientific and technological dominance, Russian advances in Ukraine. I could go on and on. So what has America's political class decided to obsess about over the last several months? Jeffrey Epstein. This is the guy who's been dead for 6 years and who was last in touch with Donald Trump 21 years ago, Trump has said. Why is Epstein the top issue in American life right now? Well, in an age when more and more people get their news from short videos, if you're in politics, the media or online, it pays to focus on topics that are salacious. I mean, he goes on and on and on about like why he said, but the most important reason the Epstein story tops our national agenda is that the QAnon mentality has taken over America. So we all want to know about Epstein because we're all QAnon now.
Yeah. And by the way, from the same New York Times that prints this drivel, Mr. Epstein, I'm quoting from the story today, this is talking about in the late 80s when Trump and Epstein forged a bond. Right? Yep. Mr. Epstein was then a little-known financier who cultivated mystery around the scope and source of his self-made wealth. Mr. Trump, 6 years earlier, was a real estate scion who relished publicity and exaggerated his success. Now, here's the key kicker. Neither man drank or did drugs. They pursued women in a game of ego and dominance. Female bodies were currency. Not women, female bodies. That is how women are reduced in this world. David Brooks was there. And David Brooks did not disclose that he was there when he was telling everybody to move on. Now, I don't disagree with his thesis. There are a lot of other issues that are, quite frankly, are, Ukraine and what's happening there. Yeah. The opening act of World War III, I think, is more important. But if you're going to write about the Epstein files, and I believe you should at some point, because we could both chew gum and walk at the same time, you better disclose that you hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. You better disclose whether there were girls or women who you witnessed or did not witness in that house when you were hanging out with him. Yep. Because David Brooks wasn't hanging out in a suit and tie with a pen and a pad asking for an interview. He was just socializing with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know who was there before we all move on, David Brooks. I mean, this is such a failure of media, and it's such a failure of society because these men just sit around thinking it's totally okay to do this. No big deal. No big deal.
Well, because and this is where, when I say things about how men hate women and oh no, they don't, stop. Oh, that's over the top. Things are better. You want to bet? You have a New York Times opinion columnist, famous one, attending events, parties with Jeffrey Epstein, who was a known sex trafficker of teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And you tell me that the most powerful men in the world value women, and not just our lives, but everything about us, like our physical lives. I'm talking about our brains, our our everything, our whole lives. They find, these people find no value in us at all. And so this is why they treat young women like, it's like meat isn't even like the right word. They use and discard, use and discard. That's what they do. They don't care who they destroy. They don't care what they do, but you better not talk about it.
Yep.
And you know what a world we'd be living in if women were running things. This is there was an excerpt in there, Julie, that had me like, whew, this is it. This is it. If you don't mind, I'm just going to read through this. So it's about Mar-a-Lago gatherings. Groups of models were sometimes bussed in from Miami, often with help from Mr. Trump's friend, Jason Bin, a co-founder of the society magazine Ocean Drive.
For which
Mr.
Melania
Bin
posed, by the way. I think naked. I think that was the
of
magazine.
course. Jesus Christ. Mr. Bin did not return calls and emails seeking comment. Shocking. Tina Davis, who worked with Ford models in the mid-1990s, said in an interview that her Ford booker instructed her to get dressed up and attend a Mar-a-Lago party in late 1994. Just 14 years old and new to Miami, she was told to dress sexy, quote unquote, according to her mother, Sandra Coleman, who had accompanied her to Florida. 8 or 9 other models came along on the bus. All the girls were really young, Ms. Coleman recalled in an interview. Some of them could have been in, oh my God, could have been in training bras. This is so upsetting. When they arrived at Mar-a-Lago, Ms. Coleman said her daughter was promptly handed a glass of champagne. She took it away, but waiters kept offering more. Each time one of the middle-aged men at the party approached her daughter, sorry, this is ridiculous. The sirens. Each time one of the middle-aged men at the party approached her daughter, Ms. Coleman would walk over and introduce herself as Ms. Davis's mother. During a trip to the bathroom, they ran into Mr. Trump's new wife, whom they had met earlier. Ms. Marla Maples, clasped her hands. Ms. Coleman recalled and looked her in the eye, quote, "Whatever you do, do not let her around any of these men, and especially my husband," she told Ms. Coleman. "Protect her," quote, end quote.
So I have a couple of things to say about that. One is this girl, this 14-year-old girl, and I stress girl.
Child.
I have a son who's just about 6 months younger than a 14-year-old, and trust me on this. Children, nothing adult about them. Was lucky enough to have her mother accompany her. Now, we were always told, and I had my best friend in high school, her mother was a Ford model back in the 60s, and my friend, somebody who Eileen Ford desperately wanted to come and model for her because she was exactly what you would picture a model to look like. I was always told that Eileen Ford protected her girls. Apparently not.
No.
Apparently not. Now, Eileen Ford is now dead, but I'd like to hear more from people who were there then, what the hell was going on. Because this girl, as I said, was lucky enough that her mother came. What about all the girls who were, sorry, but what about all the girls who were put in Eileen Ford's care, who was still running a Ford modeling agency or involved in Ford at the time?
Yeah.
Who were put in her care and told to get dressed, given champagne. They're 14. You give us listen, they're 14 and weigh about 100 pounds if they're lucky, because that's what you have to weigh to be a model. You have to weigh to be a model, right? You give somebody like that champagne, it does not end well.
Oh, no. I'm a very, very tiny person. So I'm like, I want to preface that. But I think when I was 14 in 9th grade, I didn't weigh 100 pounds. I think I was like 95 pounds or 90 pounds or something like that. Like, and if someone had handed me a glass of champagne, I would have died.
I would have been wasted. And that
Yeah.
was the point. And then, by the way, I don't want to sound like a Dare commercial, but the champagne was a gateway.
Oh,
Once you're
1,000%.
done with champagne, you move on to the hard drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
to stay skinny.
Yeah.
That's, trust me. I mean, Michelle and I both live in New York. We know how models and others
Oh, yeah.
before Ozempic used to stay skinny.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all going on. I don't give a rat's ass if Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein didn't do drugs or drink. Of course not. All the more to be sentient about what they were doing.
Yeah.
I'd like to
mean,
get Marlon Maples under oath.
I thought that too. I thought that too. I was like, wow, Marla Maples, for real?
Yeah.
For real. Unbelievable.
The same Marla Maples who gave birth to Tiffany Trump, who Donald Trump, when she was a baby, said, I hope she has big boobs like her mother.
Yeah. Goes, well, she's got Marla's legs. We'll have to see about the rest of it.
Yeah. Yep.
These people, I mean, and that's the thing. It's not like, this is fundamentally who these men are, how they have spent their lives, their free time, their money for decades doing this. And the whole world just goes on and people don't know about it. And then, Vanity Fair again, like in 2006 could have done something here. They could have published the Farmer Sisters story, but instead Graydon Carter
did not.
decided to be threatened and influenced and told Vicky Ward to cut that part of the story out. And it was just a fluff piece about him and Ghislaine.
Yep.
And again, this could be naive, like who's to say, but publishing that story in 2006 could have changed the course of history. It really could have. And it could have saved lives.
I mean, there are so many off-ramps that people did not take.
Mm-hmm.
Marla did not speak up.
Mm-mm. Yeah, because she knew that. I mean, here's the thing. First of all, she was like, well, what am I going to do? I can't stop. But then they'll get financially cut off if they speak up. They'll be threatened.
Alex Acosta decided to be a scumbag.
Mm-hmm.
All of the
it's easier to get along.
A judge signed off on this. I mean, there are so many off ramps here that could have been taken that were not until Julie K. Brown wrote that explosive series in the Miami Herald.
Yeah.
But why did it take 20 years for somebody to be able to publish that?
And even
Vicky
then,
Ward should have published that. Graydon Carter, who hated Trump,
he
coined the phrase "short-fingered vulgarian." I think the reason that Trump did this, agreed to the stupid Vanity Fair shoot that now got all of these idiots on his staff in trouble, including Susie Wiles, is as a fuck you to Graydon Carter. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, I mean,
who's not there anymore, but Trump, I don't know if Trump even realizes that, because Trump in his mind, I think, lives in the 80s and 90s, because that was the heyday. By the way, for Trump, the heyday is not being president. For Trump, the heyday wasn't when he was palling around New York City and Miami.
Oh, yeah.
And not Miami, excuse me, Palm Beach with Jeffrey Epstein.
In a limo.
In a limo. In a limo.
Like, limo is so retro. Like, who even rides in a limo anymore? Yeah. But I think about him in some like old 80s like prom limo.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Clear. I mean, the heyday was that. The heyday was sailing around.
Like the 80s were good.
Yeah, the heyday was sailing around New York City on something called Taste of New York, where you had models who were in the elite model competition, little 14, 15-year-olds posing for Trump, and God knows what else. That was the heyday for him. That was like 91, 92.
Mm-hmm. You know, there was a girl who went to my high school. She was like 1 year out from me, so we were never there at the same time. And her mom sent her senior picture to Ford Modeling Agency, and they called her, and she became like a supermodel, and she was like on the cover of Vogue, and like, you know, she still walks and shows, I think, like in her 40s. But I think about that. I've been thinking about her during all of this, and I'm like, at least she was 18. Like, thank God. Thank God she was at least 18. Not that it's like they're all treated much better, but at least she wasn't a child, like when she entered that world.
No.
Because this world is awful. Like,
I
I
mean,
don't think people realize the modeling world for women. I don't
it's
know if it's better
awful,
now, but it has historically been awful.
awful, awful. And you only need to hear the story of Stephanie Seymour, who was living with the head of Elite when she was 16 and he was like 45.
Oh my God, gross. Oh my God. No.
And they met when she was like 15. They lived together.
Like as this or just
Yeah.
like, oh, come live. Oh, ugh,
Oh no, they lived
ugh.
together like
Bleh.
boyfriend
Like this
girlfriend
was a
together.
time when again, like Jerry Seinfeld was dating a girl in high school. No one talks about this. Like there's a difference between a 40-year-old and a 6-year-old, 60-year-old, right? Like but the difference is like then it's not as big a deal. Like a 20-year age difference or like, anything or 15, 20 years.
My husband is, Michelle is older than I am. There's a vast age
Yeah.
difference. And we met each
But
other.
you're older though.
We
It's
met each
different.
other in middle age. I mean,
Right. It's
and
different.
you're not it's
right, you're not
different
20 or
because
40.
I wasn't a child. I knew what I was doing.
Exactly. And that's like it's not 20 and 40. Like Joe and I were talking about this the other day. It's like, the difference between a 10 and a 15-year-old, right, is a big difference, but there's not a big difference between a 40 and a 45-year-old. And it's just like as you get older, like these things they're like, they're fluid. They don't matter as much. But like that kind of age difference,
I mean, it's
the
disgusting.
power
You're not,
the
you're not
power
a
dynamic and not to mention like rapey, like she's a child. This is so predatory, and like so many men do this stuff, and it's like less acceptable now. I think because everyone's got a phone, or we all talk about these things. We're more aware, but like again, Jerry Seinfeld had like a girlfriend in high school.
But also, I mean, Jerry Seinfeld's girlfriend, I think, was a senior in high school, which does not excuse it. But I'm just saying she was a senior in high school. We're talking about 14-year-old girls
I know.
who, if they're models, probably have not quite yet developed because back then in the 90s, remember heroin chic
Oh,
was the
right. They wanted
big
the
deal. They wanted the
blonde,
flat,
right.
they wanted like no breast, the whole, all of it. And so you're talking about probably some undeveloped girls who are being given champagne and God knows what else
Mhm.
and hanging out at Mar-a-Lago
With dirty old men.
old men who are in their 40s and 50s at the time. I mean, I'm 52 and I'm thinking, what the hell do I have in common with a 14-year-old?
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. I have nothing in common with the kids who come over to my house, who go to school with my son.
Right,
I have
right.
nothing in common with them. The only thing I have in common with them is asking them if they want a snack or driving them and chauffeuring them around to all the shit they make me drive and chauffeur them around to entertain
Talking
them.
about how they're doing in sports or something.
Talking about how they're doing in sports and school.
It's like I can't. Like it's just the thought of it is just it's out of this world. Like it's on another planet. Like I cannot even think about it. Like how disgusting all of this is. And like Caroline Levitt's husband is 32 years older. Yeah, he's 32. She's 28.
Now,
oh my
listen,
God.
She's 28. So my point
I
is
know
like
she's an adult, but like it's just
an adult. If she were 18, which is what she was 10 years ago,
I mean,
or if she was 14, which is, I mean, that's a different story. What else we got, Michelle?
Oh, well, Erica Kirk is grieving. I guess we all grieve differently, Julie. And Erica Kirk has been doing her media tour, and like we all need to be very respectful of her. Don't bother her, don't invade her privacy while she goes on a national press tour to grieve her husband and dab away the tears on her face with 18 pounds of makeup on her eyeballs. She spoke at a TPUSA thing. Well, first of all, in her last couple things, she's endorsed JD Vance like more than a couple times. His name keeps coming up every time she's talking about stuff. And it's weird. It's weird. But even weirder is how she walked out on stage at this TPUSA thing was it last night, Julie? I think it was.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
To yet again, pyrotechnics. Nothing says I miss my husband like controlled explosives. So we're going to play this.
Now, first of all, did you notice the check merch thing that was scrolling below the entire
Oh
time?
yeah, they're always
Plugging the merch. Second,
Always.
as Michelle and I decided yesterday, she looks like she's auditioning for the Ice Capades in that outfit.
Listen,
Third of
I was
all-
in show choir. I was in show choir in high school.
Yes.
I had many costumes. I had a whole closet full of and they all had sequins and shoulder pads because it was the time. And I'm just saying that was very reminiscent.
I was not in show choir, and I don't
missed
think I've ever had anything with sequins, but I have seen a lot of Liberace and Liza Minnelli footage over the course of my life. And also,
It's Liza with a Z, not Liza with an S, because Liza with
Yes.
a Z.
Yep.
Sorry.
Exactly. It's very Liza with a Z. That was very Liza with a Z. But also, she proceeded to grieve her way through an endorsement of J.D. Vance and saying that her priority is making sure that Donald Trump has both houses of Congress and also that J.D. Vance becomes the next president of the United States in she said 48, but I think she meant 2028. So, so what I want to basically say is that can we just stop with the grieving widow bullshit and start treating her like the political operative she is?
She needs to be introduced and titled in tweets and in headlines and everything else, not Charlie Kirk's widow anymore. CEO of TPUSA, Erica Kirk. That is how she needs to be credited.
And by the way, while she's traveling the country being Turning Point USA CEO, who is watching the kids, Erica? I don't have a problem, by the way, with her working. She can afford a nanny. She probably has a nanny who flies with her everywhere she goes.
Which, like, God bless. I mean,
God bless. You made a lot of money grifting off the American people. Fantastic. Yeah. However, do not come here and lecture other women who don't have access to money for nannies to choosing to work when they have children. Like you, Erica, you chose to work while you have children. Because what you're doing right now is work. It's called grifting.
It is work.
And it is called electioneering.
That too.
That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
She's a political operative. I mean,
she's a political operative. I don't begrudge it. Me too. Me too. And I do it while I have a child. I'm not staying home, but neither is she.
Right.
Neither is she. And I had my kid in my 30s. Who else had their kids in their 30s, Michelle? Eric Kirk. She didn't do this in her 20s. Imagine that. You know what she did before she had kids? She came here to New York City, the big city, and tried to make it. She was on a reality dating show. She was a realtor for Corcoran. I was never in a reality show or a realtor, but just like Erica Kirk, I came here to the big city to make it. And then in my 30s, like Erica Kirk, I had a lot of fun, and then I had a kid. So did she. So I don't want to hear bullshit about how women in New York City are not looking for husbands and channeling their husband lust into Zoran Mondani.
So weird. What a weird thing.
Weird.
It's like, no, I don't.
It's projection. It's projection.
Oh yeah. It's like, I don't want to get married. I'm going to have the government support me and Zoran Mamdani is going to give me all the things, like daddy's going to give me all the things I need. And what? And I'm going to be real. all the
Yeah.
data is coming out that young women, especially young liberal women, there's like a very small percentage of them out in the dating pool because they don't want to. And in fact, a big thing that's happening, like, I mean, with the Gen Z kids, and I've been reading about this, is that they're like, oh no, relationships are cringe. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Especially from the young women, because the young women are like, why would I get myself into this mess? Why would I do this? And I saw something on Threads last night or something where somebody was posted a screenshot of a text message with somebody that she'd gone on a couple dates with. And this person was like, can I borrow money? Like, I'm not like, it was just, she's like, what are we doing? Why is every person like this? And a lot of, and this is where the young men are like, well, no, girls don't want to date me or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, but collectively, just do better. Like, be kind, be helpful, treat women as equals. Don't be annoying like about these things. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like when don't go out looking for a girlfriend when you really just want your mother. Like, that's another part of this too. And it's like I there's so many young women. And I sent you a bunch of stuff about this the other day. I'm going to go back in our text messages.
Yeah. But look, if anybody is channeling whatever they're channeling into a candidate, it's her into JD Vance. She talks about him all the time and how her priority is to get JD Vance all the time. Like, it's weird. Like, we get it. Like, we like JD Vance. Fantastic. You endorsed him. Great. Noted. But she keeps talking about it all the time. So the projection is phenomenal. I will tell you, I was not a Mondani voter, but when I was single in my 30s in New York City, I was not channeling my marriage thing into candidates for whom I worked, by the way. No. But I wasn't like, oh my God, I didn't work for Michael Bloomberg, but he was the mayor at the time. Oh my God, I don't think I'm going to get married. I think I'm going to just channel all my energy into Michael Bloomberg. Like, what
a weird thing to say.
What a weird thing to say. What a weird, weird thing to say.
Totally weird. Oh, here's I have it up here. So it was a branding thing. It was like a marketing thing that I had sent you, because brands are starting to realize that romance doesn't sell. Friendship does. For brands marketing to Gen Z, platonic love is now aspirational. 58% of single 13 to 39-year-olds agree that romantic relationships aren't my priority right now. Romance is no longer an emotional and cultural marketing juggernaut. Heterofatalism, the view that heterosexual dating is, quote, embarrassing, hopeless, and imprisoning, is gaining ground in culture as the de facto attitude towards romance. That was in New York Magazine. This is a Pew Research poll. Only 38% of single women are, quote, on the dating market, compared with 61% of single men. 40% of conservative women in the United States, ages 18 to 35, do not have children, compared to 75% of liberal women. Make America Hot Again movements are gaining traction, but this community has lower levels of discretionary income. 2/3 of voters without college degrees voted for Donald Trump. And then friendship is aspirational as economic and marital milestones have moved out of reach. Status is increasingly driven and crafted by value-driven identity expenditure. The dating app Bumble, I love this actually, because I actually know someone who's done this. The dating app Bumble, in response to this growing demand, has launched a revamped standalone app for its platonic dating vertical. Meetup app Clyx, CLYX, which raised $14 million in seed funding this September, touts itself as the next generation friendship platform. So people are going on dating apps, right, that are now made for platonic friendship. And I actually know someone who met a friend on a dating app, like another one. Like,
I'm surprised they haven't come up with this earlier. I'll tell you this, Michelle. I'm married. Yeah, I'll tell you this. I'm married. I love my husband. Really love my husband. But I will tell you that if you were to predecease me, my BFF and I are moving to Europe and living together. in a platonic
Listen,
golden girls kind of way.
Yeah.
Because
and there's studies that are done with like moms and kids, like just like, you know what, you've got kids, I've got kids, we're best friends, like let's just get a house together and like just raise each other's kids together. Like these things are happening.
They're happening. And I got to tell you, I've got two of my closest friends. One I met in the 8th grade, one I met my freshman year in college. And women are my tribe. And I love them. Like
Article 5, Julie. Article 5.
Article 5. Article 5. I'm very big on Article 5. Anything happens to them, I'm there for them and vice versa. And that's always happened, by the way.
Yep.
And I mean, they were with me in the delivery room when I gave birth. Like that's how close we are. One of them flew from California and kept screaming at me on the plane, I was in labor, do not push this kid out until I arrive.
Yeah.
So like, I say all this to say that female friendships are really important. Really important. Male friendships don't exist anymore. There used to be studies where 20, 30 years ago, the average guy had like 6 friends. Now, very, very few do. The loneliness epidemic happening, my nonprofit capacity, we talk about this all the time. There's a male loneliness epidemic that's happening, and it's real. And I think women need to stop discounting it. And I think women need to stop making fun of it. I think it affects everything from their psychology to how they treat women, to how they treat women in the workplace, to how they move on with their. It is truly the crisis of our time. You've got people like Michael Smerconish, and you've got people like others who have done a good job talking about this.
Scott Galloway, I think, talks about this. I think he does venture into the blaming women part of this, and it really, 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 really bothers me, because I do think he's a smart guy, and I don't think he's a bad person, but I'm just like, there is something you're missing here. And women get really mad in the comments, and I'm one of them. And I'm like, you're smart, you're a sensible, like empathetic person. Like, why aren't you getting this? And like, that's again. And Mallory Hagan and I talk about this too over at Seneca. And we're like, there is no male loneliness epidemic. There is a loneliness epidemic. It is not specifically to men. They just deal with it differently. We get hobbies and go to the movies with our friends and ride our bikes and and hang out with our girlfriends and watch movies and our dogs. Like, we just handle it better. We're self-sufficient emotionally. We can regulate. And unfortunately, and this is where it's like feminism is for everyone, because the patriarchy sucks, and the patriarchy is like passed down to young boys and young boys and young boys, and like they're taught to like not do these things, and that there's a weakness to it, and they can't regulate. And I'm saying, not saying everyone, but it's just like at large. That's just always how it's been, and it's sad. It's sad.
But you see that it's interesting how people are now building community, right? And they're building community online a lot of times.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, well, sometimes it's good, like here, right?
Yeah.
So
somebody, of course,
in the chat said, Jay said, I'm part of the male loneliness. I'm sorry, I'm awfully sorry to hear that, Jay, but I think hopefully this community is making you feel a little less lonely, because we feel like we're all in this together, right? There's a whole community over on Substack where these people are fantastic and just phenomenal. But I will also say that there's something to be said for touching somebody, like literally giving somebody a hug. They're your friend. And I remember during COVID, we were all stuck, obviously, with whoever we happened to live with. I was fortunate. I had all the luck to have my husband and my son here. You obviously had your husband with you, Michelle. But I remember I have a friend named Jen who lived over. She's no longer in the city, but at the time she was living over in Brooklyn. And after 18 months or however long it was, 8 months, she came to my house and gave me a hug and started crying. And I said, "What, are you okay?" She said, "I haven't touched anybody in, I think it was 8 months."
Oh my gosh.
She goes, "I physically have not touched anybody in 8 months." She was just so happy to give me a hug. Like, she was so happy for that human contact. And I've never forgotten that. And first of all, I just felt so lucky and blessed that I had my family here sheltering with me, but also just the absolute horror of the loneliness that people go through. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's just devastating to me. And so I just when you have people like Erica Kirk saying what she said about how women in New York City are channeling their inability to find a husband into their love of Zohran Mamdani, what a profound misunderstanding of how people live,
Yeah.
and how profoundly insensitive and cruel
Mm-hmm.
that how people live. Because there were many years, and I know you know this too, Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
when I was living it up in New York City and I had friends and I was going out and I was having fun and I never felt lonelier.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you just go through these times in your life where you feel that way.
Yeah,
And
I would
and
say, yeah. I mean, there were it would ebb and flow. You know what I mean? It would ebb
yeah.
and flow. I always felt because again, I've talked about this on the show, how I always felt rich in great friends who
Yeah.
emote and are emotional and like, empaths. And like that's just because, my world was always creative people and sometimes we're over the top, but there was always like that, you know what I mean? I always knew that I could go and, those were my people. And I always felt like I had someone great to communicate with. But it's funny you say that about your friend because I remember that Joe and I throw a Christmas party every year. We didn't do it this year because, like,
Because
in
I
this
never got an
economy,
invite. I hope not, but go
I
ahead.
know in this economy, we were like, no, we can't. It's too much. But obviously, for a couple years during COVID, we didn't do it. And then our first one back, we like really kind of went all out, and we usually hire a bartender. I mean, whatever. It's a whole thing. It's like the one thing we do all year. And a girlfriend of mine who had 2 kids, and I used to work with her. She was a good friend. She moved to Connecticut and like I never see her. I don't think she sees anybody. And I think she misses the city. I think she misses her life. I think, and she walked in the front door and she just started crying. And she was with her husband. She started crying. And I was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And she was like, she goes, "I don't know why I'm crying. I don't know why I'm crying." She was like, "It's just so good to see you. I miss the city." And I was just like, you could see it. Like you could see it that her life in Connecticut is now different. And, she has kids and a husband and she's, has a very full life. But there is this aspect of her life that is missing. And she's lonely. And she's lonely because I don't think she works anymore. So she stays home with her kids. And I think like that can be very lonely too.
That's very
Yeah.
that is. Let me tell you something. When you have a kid and especially when you're by yourself, and the
Mhm.
kids are little, and it's really a one-way street.
Yeah.
It is really hard because you're effectively at somebody's beck and call 24/7.
All day, every day for the
All
rest of
day,
your
every
life.
day. There's no break.
Mhm.
There's no break.
Yep. For the rest of your life. Um, but like that's why again, this community is so important. Community in like the real world is also very important. And just as a quick aside, the New York Times did a story. I have to go find it. Maybe we can do something about this. It was like a study about like there's this thing that people are doing now, and it's like walking through the park or like walking through nature, and it's like called something. There's like a word or a phrase
Mhm.
for it. And like without your phones and stuff, and just like walking through nature, and like people are doing this, and they're actually like doing studies like scientifically of like what it's doing to people's brains like and health, like physical health, to just go outside and like touch trees, like quite literally
Oh,
touch
the
grass.
touch grass movement. So
Yeah.
it's so funny that you say it's called the touch grass movement. So it's so funny that you say that because I had an acquaintance, not even a friend, a mom at my son's school, who we drive last year during drop off. She's like, "What are you doing right now?" I said, "Oh, I gotta go home after work. After work." She goes, "Why don't you come to Central Park with me? Let's just go for a walk." I said, "Sure." So we go to Central Park, and she goes, "Let's just sit on this rock." And I was like, "Okay." And then she goes, "Just take off your shoes. Just sit on this rock." So I climb up on this rock. People who know Central Park know there are really huge rocks, like boulders,
Yeah.
right in Central Park.
Ginormous.
Yeah, ginormous. So I climb up on this rock with her, and we're just sitting there. And she says to me, she goes, "I do this every single day.
Mm.
every single day. And she said, I read a book, there have been studies, and I was like, kind of like thinking this is a little hokey. But she said, look around, just
Yeah.
look around. And I looked around, and Central Park is my backyard. Like, I'm there all the time. And I looked around, I didn't have my phone. She goes, put away your phone.
Mm.
And I just looked around, and I was like, wow,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
it's really nice.
Central Park is amazing. I must
Central
like
Park is amazing. And, the Ramble here in New York, which is this
Mhm.
part of Central Park that you might know from Law and Order, because it's always where they find
I
bodies
know.
on Law.
That's where like how I feel about the Northwoods too. It's like
Yeah,
Northwoods
this
are
is
like,
anytime you hear thunk thunk on Law and
yeah,
Order, I always think about the Ramble, because it's typically there by Riverside Drive where they find a dead body with some joggers, some runners like, oh my God, I was just walking my
I was
dog
like,
this morning.
I
Yeah.
can't. Yeah.
So anyway, but the Ramble is wonderful and it's beautiful. And if you ever come to Central Park, go there, because it's really a
Mhm.
bramble, but they call it the Ramble. And you can get lost there, and it's in a nice way.
Easily.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
You can get lost there, if you don't know it well. I just happen to know it really well, so I don't. But you could
Mhm.
also kind of look by the skyline to see where you are, which direction you should go in. But during COVID, I used to walk there all the time, and it was
Mm.
so nice. It was so nice to be able to do that in the middle of New York City and feel like you're in the woods.
Yeah, like
Looking at
legitimately, like
legitimately.
nature.
Yeah.
You forget where you are. You kind of forget where you are. And that's the one thing I do miss about running. I got really into running for like a couple years, and like I was running 10Ks and stuff like that. And I would do the loop, which is 6.1 miles. And you'd see the whole, like that part of the city. You'd see all of Central Park essentially, like, because the loop doesn't go around the outside. It weaves and
Mhm.
stuff around the inside. It's very hilly, which is very annoying. But it's beautiful. And you forget, especially when you come around the north side, like you're just like, whoa, where am I? Where am I? Like this is kind of like, and it gets a little quiet. But it's gorgeous. And also there's a brand new thing up there on the north side of the park, that has like the pool, which we're
Yeah,
not going to go in that pool because people apparently were pooping in it over the summer, so we're not doing that. But
yeah.
on the other side is like a skating rink, and there's like a whole rec center, and like it's beautiful. And there's like all that water, that pond that's on the north side of the park, gorgeous. But like one of my favorite parts of the park is 103rd Street on the west side. There's that giant pond, and the tree. If you go on the other side and you're looking towards the street, and all the trees and all like the willows and stuff are like on top, it is so pretty. It's my favorite part. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's just it's sad. It's
It is
sad.
sad. It is
It's
sad.
sad. And it's sad for all of us, because I think all of us have at one point or another felt loneliness. Some people feel it
Mhm.
all the time acutely. Some people go through phases. Some people don't realize that they're lonely, but everybody does.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
I was like the bird watching, the birders. I feel like the
the birders
birders
in the
got
ramble.
a good time. I always see them. That and also around
In the
the
ramble.
reservoir. I see them over
Yeah.
there. Yeah. With like their long lenses and stuff, and they're all together and they're like seeing some new species of bird. And I'm like, y'all look like you're having a lot of fun. Like.
Yeah. You know what? Michelle and I, we always promise we're going to do the show about New York City. And when the weather gets nicer, we will, because
Yeah, we will.
we'll do a whole Central Park thing. We'll take you for a walk in the ramble.
Mhm.
But I think what's just to bring it back to Erica Kirk, I think what's so cruel
Yeah.
about this moment is the lecturing and the
Yeah.
hectoring and the telling
And the
people how they should live,
qualifying.
and the
Mhm.
qualifying, and how people should live their lives,
Yeah.
and the finger wagging and the
Yep.
implied superiority.
Mhm.
I'm glad that Erica Kirk found her husband.
Yeah, good for
I'm
you.
glad that Erica Kirk had, by her account, a happy marriage. I will be very curious to see if Erica Kirk remarries now, because that apparently is what she should be doing if you listen to Erica Kirk,
So ridiculous. It's,
right?
it's what it is. It's the qualifying, and it's like, well, I don't necessarily want to be a trad wife and a stay-at-home mom, but like having the right and the choice to do that if you want to is what this is all about. It's about having the freedom of making choices for your own life as a woman. And when they start telling women how they're supposed to live or what, like that rips your freedom away. That's freedom gone. And again, I remind people, we are not that far away from women not being able to have bank accounts. It
And
wasn't
credit
until and credit cards. The mid 70s, you could not get loans or a line of credit without the signature of a man, your husband or your father. The 70s. And that's why, all of a sudden, maybe divorce rates went up and think, well, imagine that. Women could leave. They had financial freedom. They could get abortions after 1973. Imagine that. Women started to walked outside and went, well, okay, I guess I have some choice here. I can go make choices that are different for my life, and people they don't like it. And so again, like, how dare she? How dare she? And again, her freedom to be able to go travel around the country and speak is thanks to the progressive women in this country who have fought in the different, waves of feminist movements in this country, from the suffragists to the ERA to now. We can't go backwards. And these things are just very, very important because it's a slippery slope. It is a slippery slope. And she does herself no favors. Absolutely none. Yeah. And the Barry Weiss of it all, right, is her platforming for the stupid town hall, which, by the way, Barry Weiss, even though their ratings plummeted, she's announced that they're going to keep doing them. They're going to keep doing town halls and stuff. And I'm like, okay.
It's not just any town halls. It's town halls that are like, is feminism bad for women? That's going to be a town hall. And we're going to have a fair and balanced debate about that. Now, what I find fascinating is, first of all, please, Barry Weiss, by all means, define feminism, because by all accounts, I would suggest Barry Weiss is a feminist. She has every same right that men do in her life.
She's CBS News.
Yeah, you run CBS News. You had somebody buy your Substack for over $150 million.
Without feminism, babe, you're not doing any of that.
You're not doing any of that. And by the way, Barry Weiss is an openly lesbian woman living freely the way she wants. And without feminism, Barry Weiss, that probably wouldn't happen either, because you couldn't get a credit card without your husband. So therefore, you would have had to get married to be able to do any of this. So that's one. But what I find offensive is that not only are they having these discussions, they're not having discussions about, does the economy suck? Do we need better healthcare? Like, how about things that actually matter to people? Because I think, unless you're some Erica Kirk person, the question of feminism has been settled. And I know a lot of women are like, I'm not a feminist, I'm not a feminist. My friends,
how?
You may not like the term, but the only thing feminism says, all it is that women have the same rights as men. That's it.
Not special treatment, not special rights. Just the same. That's it. That's all literally we're asking for.
CBS News is the home of, forget Edward R. Murrow, the home of, forget Walter Cronkite, the home today currently of 60 Minutes. The finest journalists in the world are working and toiling under the CBS brand, tarnished with this bullshit.
Yeah. It's
I mean, do you have a sign off yesterday from CBS News?
I do. And I want to play some of it. The whole thing is 3 minutes long. I don't have the whole thing. I pulled, I was going through Twitter trying to find somebody who didn't have a block on it so I could just download it. So I have like a minute 30 version of this from Tennessee Holler, which is a great account and everyone should follow. And this is the end. John Dickerson on Maurice Dubois signing off.
Person I've learned quite a bit from working with you. Proud to call you not just a colleague, but a friend.
Thank you, Maurice. You know, a year and a half ago, we didn't even really know each other. And you've become a model for me and a trusted friend. So thank you. What the viewers don't know is that long before they could see us, we were thinking about you, the viewers. Planning for months in a conference room, we talked about your attention, how precious it was, and how we would honor it. That question has guided the decisions you saw and many you didn't. A research team that sweats the facts that shape how you see the world. Correspondents who follow the facts into war zones, into countries where they could be jailed, into sharp exchanges with the powerful who don't like being held to account, including a president who insulted them for it.
Why do you blame the Biden administration for what this man did?
Are you stupid?
Stories of wonder, of loss, of courage, asking why until the answers ran out. It has been an honor to put the work of our correspondents, producers, editors, and writers before you, and to work with my partner Maurice, who put his heart into our shared concern, doing right by you. Your expectation has been our responsibility and our reward.
That it has, my friend. And so for one last time, that is the CBS Evening News. I'm Maurice Dubois.
I'm John Dickerson. Thank you for watching.
And good night, and good luck.
Good night and good luck.
Good night and good luck. They're sending a message there.
Oh yeah, big time.
That was a big middle finger to Paramount, Skydance. It was a big middle finger.
Very wise. Yep. Yep.
And we now have 2 of the 4 broadcast networks run by committed Trumpers.
Mm-hmm.
CBS and Fox. Disney,
Yep.
which owns ABC, bent the knee by paying him $16 million, and Comcast spun off MSNBC into a separate company called Versant so that they would not be tarnished by whatever MSNBC said about Trump. MSNBC has rebranded itself, took out the NBC version of it, which is why it's no longer MSNBC. It's now MS. Yeah.
So bad.
But good luck to us all. Good luck to us all.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a year, you guys. It's been a year. And I think,
gotta say, do you think it's been worse than you thought it would be?
yes, I do. I thought it was going to be maybe slightly worse than the first term. Project 2025, I think, was something we all read on paper, but to see it implemented
and to feel it, really.
Yeah. I did not anticipate that we would be going to war. I did not think
I
Trump would go to
didn't
war.
either. I have to say the public health stuff is really, really so much worse than I thought it could be. I didn't think that they'd let Robert F. Kennedy go so far.
I think, yeah, you know what, actually, Michelle, you raised a good point. I did not think as much, and I should have. I don't know why I didn't, but I thought at the end, Bill Cassidy's of the world.
Yeah.
And all of the, I didn't think somebody
like don't go there. Like, that's too far. You know what I mean?
I didn't think they would get confirmed because they went so far.
Yep. And now they've stripped funding to the American Pediatrics Association. I mean, they're taking vaccines away. They're taking hepatitis vaccines from newborn babies. I mean, like, this is crazy shit. This is crazy shit. This is anti-intellectual. It's anti-science, you know, and there's a great line in the first line of the Newsroom television show where, Will McAvoy goes on this rant at Northwestern Journalism School, and he says, there was a time when this country, and I'm paraphrasing, when this country made the greatest artists and the greatest scientists. And we were a well-rounded and full society that appreciated both of those things. And now we appreciate neither. And to actively put the American people in a situation, in a position where we are less healthy. And yes, like the elite, I guess, like the richest people could fly elsewhere. But like, what good does that do them if the collective public health is bad? And especially when it comes to infectious diseases, that doesn't, you can't escape that. There's no amount of money that you can escape that. So, and cancer research, like some of that, like these cancer research and treatments are coming out of the United States. And so for the richest people in the world who cannot escape things like cancer and they need treatment that is groundbreaking, you need American, scientists and funding, or at least or people maybe who come here from other countries to do this research, to solve these problems like cancer and other rare diseases. And so I, again, like, this is the part that I can't wrap my head around. I was like, how is that helping you, rich people? It's like they don't want us to have it so badly that they don't have it themselves.
Yeah.
It's the one part of this authoritarian takeover that I just, it's the one part I do not understand. I don't get it. The other stuff, I'm like, okay, I don't agree with it, obviously, but there's an explanation. You hate immigrants, or you hate poor people, or you have a thing against military, like whatever, right? But this makes no sense at all. And it won't be until something bad happens, and it will be too late for us to do anything.
Bad is happening.
To correct course. I mean, can you imagine if these people were in charge when COVID hit?
Well, listen, hepatitis
How much worse it would have been. Yeah.
Think about this. Robert F. Kennedy will be out of here in the next number of years. Not long. It'll be 2 years, 1 year, 4 years, but 3 years, but he'll be gone. The damage that he has caused to a generation of children who now will not be getting hepatitis B shots.
Yeah, I guess you have to ask for it. You have to ask for it.
Ask for it. Now, how many people don't know to ask for it?
Yeah, and they'll make it illegal for healthcare providers to even like mention it.
And to cover it. That's the problem. If it's not mandated, you have to pay for it.
Oh my God.
So think about that. There's going to be a generation of kids who are going to die from hepatitis because of it.
Yep. And was it John Green or Hank Green? It was one of those brothers. I can't remember which one. Wrote a book about tuberculosis. I actually bought it and I haven't read it yet. There's a book about tuberculosis, and it's the history of tuberculosis and like treating it. And like, so if you were to get TB now, like you have to take a course of antibiotics for like months and months and months and months. If you interrupt that course of treatment with the antibiotics, what it does is like the infection in your body can like do a little dance and could very possibly mutate. And it will become even more difficult if you were to restart that treatment again after the fact with your tuberculosis. And that is when we could possibly run into a tuberculosis epidemic in this world that cannot be treated with antibiotics. Like, that is a real thing. And those are the kinds of things that we messed up with USAID, with defunding that. And again, it's like it's the public health that I do not understand. Like, this will kill all of you too.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways.
All right, you guys. On this very depressing note, I don't want to end on a depressing note. Michelle, what have you got?
I don't think it's terribly depressing. I'll say this. Johnny says here, I think humanity will win. As dark as it's getting, I still believe in humanity, and I absolutely agree. And, that is why yesterday when I went live to talk about the Kennedy Center.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, it was important that we talk about it because these things matter. And that's why I said, I was like, these things are worth fighting for. All of this is worth fighting for. And I think in the end we win, but it is going to get worse before it gets better. And, there was a lot of people, I remember when like we had the realization, oh no, Donald Trump is going to be president when we celebrate the 250th birthday of this country, and like how like upsetting and like dark that was. And I'm like, you know what? Let him do his weird stuff. Let him do the fights on the lawn of the White House or whatever. Maybe this can be a moment for the rest of us to remember where we came from, and to have a rebirth of this, of the ideals that this country was founded on. And maybe this time we do them better. And, we have an opportunity here to rebuild on the other side of this. And we just have to keep our eye on the ball, and we have to celebrate this country. We're not going to allow them to take that from us. We love this country. We just don't like their country with the version that they're trying to make.
So to people who asked in the chat, yes, we are in fact going to have the 10 a.m. show tomorrow. Of course we are. We're not going to leave you guys on Saturday mornings. We love our Saturday morning show.
Yep.
Saturday Sanity. We love it. So we're doing that. We still have to figure out
Mhm.
what we're doing Christmas. I am flying on Friday. A week from today, I'm actually flying to Miami.
Oh,
So yeah. So I will not
Miami, Miami.
Miami, yeah.
Mhm.
So I will not be here. So it's up to Michelle whether she wants to helm the show by herself and do an AMA that day. But
We'll
and
see.
we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see, and we'll see what we're
We'll
doing for
see.
Christmas too. If you guys want us to do a
Mhm.
Christmas show, let us know in the chat. If people are otherwise engaged, we don't need to do a Christmas show. Michelle, I have no idea what your plans are for Christmas. Actually, I shouldn't say that
We'll do
into a
like
show.
open presents. We open presents,
Yeah.
I guess. Although we're not doing much of that this year too, because in this economy, um,
Yeah.
and then we have breakfast, and then I don't think I start cooking until like 1 or 2. So I've got some time in between. Maybe we can jump on for a minute and just say Merry Christmas. Everybody's
Okay.
home. I don't know. I don't know. We can talk about it. We can talk
Yeah,
about
we'll talk about it. All right, you guys. Yes, Rosie, Miami, not France, Miami. Miami. Skiing in the
it.
Alps? No,
Yeah.
no.
I've never wanted to be anywhere more than I wanted to go to Miami.
I mean, literally,
My
I've had this
dream.
dream my whole life. And I was like, yeah, what is it? Oh, this one place. I'm like, Australia? Because he's been talking about Australia a lot. I was like, I can't take you to Australia because it's really far and it's really expensive. And he's like, no, not Australia, Miami. I was like, oh, okay. Now, for people, if we're listening to us from Australia, I'm sure Miami probably sounds very glamorous to you compared to
Yeah.
Australia. Australia sounds very glamorous to me. So I would much rather be in Australia than Miami. At
Yeah.
11 o'clock today, we are doing the Jeff Jarvis show. Thank you for asking.
Yep.
And so we're going to be doing that to talk about the week in media. We love
Mhm.
this new show that we have with Jeff. We love Jeff. He's awesome. We're so happy to see him. People who are watching us on Substack, we're going to stream that show on Substack also. But if you are watching us on Substack, please come over to the YouTube,
Yep.
YouTube, watch the Mayday show, morning show, and all our other shows on YouTube. There's so much content on YouTube, the Mayday Network. So please do that because we're not going to be streaming to Substack every day. That was just for
Mhm.
you guys to get a little taste of what we do. And you'll see today with Jeff Jarvis, another little taste of what we do. But most of the time, we're not going to be doing that. So please,
Yeah.
if you are watching us on Substack, and there are a lot of you doing that, please come over and subscribe to the Mayday Network on YouTube.
Yep.
On that note, you guys, we'll see you in just about an hour and a half with Jeff. And for those of us watching or listening to us not live, you could do that at 11 o'clock show. Also, watch that not live if you so
Mhm.
choose. You can go to our YouTube page or to Apple Podcasts and listen. Not Spotify because they're giving.
We don't
Not
do that. Yeah.
we don't do
They
Spotify.
yeah,
We don't do
don't.
Spotify
Yeah.
because we don't subscribe to them helping Christine go after poor undocumented migrants and
Yeah.
sometimes documented
American
migrants
and American citizens.
and American citizens. But
Mhm.
anyway, great to see you guys. Rosie, you got to get some sleep, girl. 3 a.m. your time. That's crazy. We appreciate
Go
it.
to
But
bed, you.
yeah, go to bed, Rosie, and wake up in an hour and a half and watch us again. All right, everybody. Great to see everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.